Overcoming overwhelm is just the beginning. It's what you do next that determines your success. So many women get themselves unstuck and then struggle to keep the momentum going. They fall back into old habits or get stuck in cycles of analysis paralysis. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to maintain progress, stay motivated, and keep taking intentional steps towards your goals. You're listening to The Next Step with Corrie Lo, where we transform overwhelm into confident action. I'm Corrie Lo, keynote speaker, coach, and working mama of four, here to help ambitious women just like you take the next step, whether that be leadership at work, at home, or in your community. Let's get started. I've had this happen a couple of times, and it's happened as recently as last week, where I hit a huge milestone in my business or in my career, and I find myself stuck immediately after. I've realized that overcoming challenges is one thing. Sustaining your progress is entirely a different animal. Momentum in your life and career is not automatic. It requires intention, strategy, as well as mindset shifts. There's a lot of reasons that people commonly lose momentum. Here's a few that I've recognized. First, it's falling back into old habits, mostly due to lack of structure. At the same time, the same habits that got you here today are not going to get you to where you want to go tomorrow. So if you're not even maintaining the habits that got you here today, it's going to be that much harder to maintain your motivation to get to what's next tomorrow. Next is losing motivation when things get hard. It's easy to want to slow down when you feel a little bit of resistance, but it's when you're able to push through that resistance that you ultimately grow through the change and you hit the next level. Next is the one that I personally am guilty of on a regular basis, and that is overcomplicating the next steps. So when you overcomplicate the next steps, instead of focusing on consistent action, basically what you do is you break your progress. I do this all the time. I self-sabotage my success, where I will have something that is working beautifully. It's a well-oiled machine. And then I will go through the trouble of actually breaking it. And I lose momentum in the process. So this is something I've had to work for many, many years to develop the self-awareness to know that I am doing it. But nonetheless, it is one of the most common reasons that folks find themselves in this position. And I am with you on that. There's about 4 things that I've noticed that have helped me continue to keep up my momentum as I keep going. The first one is setting milestone checkpoints. Progress feels far more sustainable when you actually celebrate the milestones along the way. And truth is, let's be real, a lot of times women in general, we don't celebrate our successes. We feel like we're bragging. We feel like we're drawing attention to ourselves, where really the truth is we should be celebrating our successes. When we do, it anchors that feeling inside of us and it motivates us to want to achieve the next thing. But we have to actually really challenge ourselves to take a pause and to actually celebrate it. And here's how this had actually happened for me this past week, like I was sharing with you earlier. I noticed that I had hit a huge milestone in my business and I forgot to celebrate it. And when I actually sat and did decide what I was going to do to celebrate it and really meditated on it, I realized that in one day I did what I had actually strove to do many, many years ago in a month. And along the way, I had forgotten to celebrate those achievements in the process, right? So you should be celebrating each and every win every single day to keep yourself going. Luckily, I caught myself this past week. Next up, you're going to want to create accountability systems for yourself. Accountability ultimately is what's going to actually keep you committed when your motivation drops. There's a few different ways to go about this. You could use accountability systems like the one I developed for myself. You can find it in my GPS, my goal positioning program here. It's a mini course. We'll link to it in the show notes. Other ways that you can find accountability too is through working in groups. So you can find a group coaching program or working with a coach or a mentor, or even just working with a friend who's working towards something similar. Having that accountability is really, really helpful. Next is it's really important to embrace flexibility. Be prepared to pivot and adapt. The way I like to describe this is it's similar to when you put a destination in a GPS, right? It'll always give you multiple different routes to get to the destination that you set for yourself. So a GPS doesn't need a strict, rigid route to get you to where you want to go. It has the ability to be flexible and take you on a different route if there's a roadblock in the way. We need to be the same exact way when it comes to setting our goals ourselves. So remember, if something isn't working, it is fine if it is not going completely to plan. It just means that you need to pivot and adapt a little bit to be able to accommodate it. So if something isn't working, just adjust your approach. You don't necessarily abandon the goal altogether. And last but not least, build in motivation to your daily habits. Truth is, it's the really boring, consistent activities that compound over time that help us reach the levels of success we're ultimately looking to achieve, right? You hear this all the time. Famous entrepreneurs talk about how boring their business is. It's repeatable. They do the same things all the time, and they get very, very consistent results. There's nothing fancy necessarily about it. It's really just about consistency, motivation, and drive. So dedicate just 10 minutes a day to whatever your primary motivating goal is. Whatever that goal or vision is, make sure that you're carving out minimum 10 minutes of your time to work towards it. This is better than just waiting for the perfect time. That compounds, right? That adds up big time. And it's better to chip away at it slowly than to have never started to begin with. So today I talked about 4 different ways that you could sustain your momentum after overcoming an overwhelming challenge. We do this through milestone checkpoints, really celebrating those tiny wins along the way, having accountability systems, making sure that you're flexible with your strategic plans as well as with your goals, and building in daily habits every single day. Your next step is to take just one of the 4 strategies I shared today that you identify as being one of the greatest gaps in your current momentum and commit to taking action towards it this week. And if you are interested in having a turnkey system for not only setting your goals, but keeping yourself accountable to them, be sure to check out my goal positioning mini course. We'll link to it in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of The Next Step with Corrie Lo. Remember, progress isn't about perfection. It's actually about consistency. So keep on going. So this wraps up our first 12-week series, but stay tuned for even more exciting topics designed to help you transform overwhelm into action so that you could show up as a confident leader, both at work, at home, and everywhere in between. If you have a specific topic that you would love to have covered on the show, be sure to let me know. You connect with me on every social media platform at I am Corrie Lo, or visit my website to submit a topic suggestion. I'll see you at the next show. Take care. Thanks for checking out The Next Step with Corrie Lo. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. Together, we'll transform overwhelm into action, and we'll keep taking the next step towards confident leadership. See you next time.